All right, everybody. John Henning here with the Franchise Radio Show. And on today's episode, we're joined by Paget Rhee. Now, Paget is not only a multi-unit owner of the franchise, she's also the director of operations for headquarters and was also the first franchise owner. So this should be a great interview with Paget over at BeBalanced. Paget, thanks for joining us.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, good deal. So before we get into the business stuff, our listeners know that I always like to ask about the person. So if you could just share a little bit about us, about you personally, whatever you're willing to share with us. Tell us about, who you are, where you at, where you live, that kind of thing. And then we'll get into the business stuff here in a minute.
Absolutely. So I currently live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which is where the home office of BeBalanced is located. I have 3 children and a grandson who is now 3. Very much into lacrosse. My son plays lacrosse for the Naval Academy in Annapolis, so we're definitely a lacrosse family. My daughter was a horse equestrian, so definitely into horses as well. And my daughter and I own a business together too, so that's a whole nother episode. So we do Airbnbs in the local area, so that's something that we have really a lot of fun doing together as well. Love to travel, love adventure, and so I'm 54. And I'm not afraid to say that because I think BeBalanced and what I do has really made me feel the best that I can at any age. And I love where we are in our life.
Good deal. Well, I don't know if you knew this or not, but I only live about 45 minutes from you over near King of Prussia.
Okay. Yeah. No, my daughter went to college in Philly, so very familiar with that area.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I've been out your way many, many times. So good deal. Well, let's jump into the business stuff. Tell us a little bit about the history of the company. How did the company come to be, and how did it kind of lead into how you got involved as becoming the first franchise owner with BeBalanced? Yeah,
so the company was founded about 18 years ago through a woman here in Lancaster. Her name is Dawn Patillo, and she wrote a book called The Hormone Shift that really talks about looking at hormones differently and how they impact our lives and how naturally we can affect hormone balance. So she founded this organization here in Lancaster, and then her brother, actually, David Cotillo, is the one who started the franchising back in 2014. So we've been around for quite a while, been franchising for a little bit of time. I came to this because I actually used to run a nonprofit. I founded a nonprofit in 1994, tells how old I am, back in Washington, D.C., and it was for inner city kids, and it offered hope. And hope came in so many different packages through recreation, education, spiritual development. And I walked away from that when my children were young and came back here to Pennsylvania. We adopted my middle daughter from foster care and really didn't understand the depth of her needs until it was too late. And I looked in the mirror one day at about 46 and I said, I don't even know who I am anymore. I gained a ton of weight. I had a lot of health issues, early menopause, depression, not sleeping. And I didn't understand why. I didn't understand that stress was one of the components that was throwing that all into a tailspin, because I was very successful in my life with my business. But I looked at myself and said, why am I such a failure in this other area? And someone introduced me to BeBalanced. And I didn't tell anybody I was doing the program because I didn't know if it would work. And I didn't know if I could really change my health trajectory. And so
sure.
I was losing about 60 pounds in 3 months during the program. I was approached by a friend of the family who said, you know what, they're trying to franchise this organization, and we think you should start the first franchise. So that's kind of how I got here.
That is a great story. Thanks for sharing that. I had read actually quite a bit of that about you online, about the DC organization, and kind of you had shared quite a bit online about how that had worked. So appreciate you sharing that with our listeners. Now, what would you say is really unique about the franchise? I mean, there's a lot of weight loss franchises out there, fitness and health, and what is it that's really unique? I think I already know the answer to this one, but I want our folks to hear it from you. What really sets you apart in the industry?
What really sets us apart is that we are not a weight loss center.
Right.
So we are a hormone balance program that will affect your weight, but it will also equally affect your sleep, energy, depression, headaches, menopausal symptoms, all kinds of things. And what I love about it is we lose 15 to 20 pounds a month. I'd love to say I was special, but I'm not. That's normal of what we see. So when we talk about who's our competition, I mean, I'm not saying that there are not other naturopaths or chiropractors independently in pockets of doing similar things potentially. But what I hear often is the way that we've taken all of these pieces and put them together in a journey that focuses on gut health, food sensitivities, immune system, stress and mindfulness and relaxation, as well as adrenal support, and then on to insulin and progesterone and estrogen. So that's what sets us apart, is there isn't another program that's kind of putting that all together and offering it in a very structured health coach kind of way.
Yeah, that was exactly where I was going. I had taken a look at your website here over the past few days, and I kind of got a feel for what you were going to answer on that question, because I picked up on the fact that the way that the company views itself, and it really does differentiate. If you look at all the other, quote, weight loss centers out there, right, it really focuses in on just the diet and just that side of it, where it looks like you're taking that, that holistic view of the overall health and, using the different strategies to take care of their overall life as well.
Well, people don't recognize the fact that weight gain in and of itself is a symptom of a hormone imbalance. Has a lot to do with adrenals and cortisol. If your hormones are not balanced, there's no diet that will work, because it all has to synergistically connect. And so we are kind of hitting with that root cause of hormone balance. And then it's amazing how everything comes into play. I always say, maybe it's not your fault. Maybe it's your hormones, because the guilt that I felt about myself, why am I such a loser? I'm getting up at 4 a.m. I'm going to the gym. I'm doing all these things I'm supposed to do. And the point was that there were things internally that I needed to get straight so that everything I was doing externally would be productive.
Let's talk about the franchise owners themselves. Who would you say would be the right fit for your type of franchise business?
Well, we definitely have a wide group of people. I mean, I came to this organization with just this desire to make a difference in the lives of others. And I think what I do here in BeBalanced is exactly what I did in DC. I offer hope. And hope comes through so many different packages to the women that come to us. A lot of them are coming at a very vulnerable state. Their kids are moving out. They look in the mirror. They don't know where their purpose is. And so really finding women who just thrive on making a difference in the lives of others and in their community, and helping people, have the highest quality of life through hormone balance. So right now there's a lot of women who are leaving corporate America saying, you know what, I'm seeking something more significant in my life. And we know that COVID has provided that opportunity for a lot of us. So our ideal owner is someone who just really gets excited about that perspective opportunity to impact the lives of others, oftentimes having had that same impact herself through the program. Mm-hmm. There also are owners who come into this as an investment, and when they do, they just find amazing people to offer that inspiration on the ground level. So, if you come in as an investor, opening multiple centers, then you're just really going to find other women who thrive and are really driven by that.
Sure, that makes sense. So, somebody that's really looking for, a business to grow, but might have a passion for helping others. It sounds like I'm picking up on that's going to be the key person, somebody that really wants to be involved in the business. But then you also have the investment side, but then they're going to hire and find those folks that want to have that passion, right?
It definitely has to be an intersection of passion business, and I mean, sometimes I wish it were a nonprofit, because I love what I do so much, but we still have to, provide that profitability and business side. So I think it's definitely a good intersection of those. But the people that come without that passion or desire, I don't know that they are our right fit.
Yeah, makes sense. That makes sense. Now, what would you say is a typical day-ish in the life of a franchise owner? What are your franchise owners doing every day?
Yeah, well, most people in the first 2 years are working in the business, which I think is necessary to really understand the nuts and bolts of what client experience looks like, and what you need to do and what levers to pull to make this really successful. So most of them would work in the business at least for a period of time, and it's exciting because the days are varied in that you have clients who are at different parts in the program. We're also working on, new marketing initiatives and thinking about referral events and anything that we can do to just expand and deepen our client experience. So you're working with networking in the community, building partnerships with other like-minded organizations. So probably not that different than a lot of other businesses, but this is definitely heavy in interaction with clients and, really celebrating with clients. that's a big part of what we do. Inspiring our staff to really want to dig in a deeper way with our clients is what makes us successful.
Now, what would you say, because a lot of folks think that they know something about the companies when they come to it, and I've been in franchising for over 18 years and myself personally helped hundreds and hundreds of folks, in franchising, but what would you say is the top misconception or myth or thought that someone has when they come to you and say, Paget, I'm interested in the franchise. You're learning about them. They're learning about you, but they have this thing in their mind that they think they know about the business that's almost like a myth or a misconception. Is there anything you hear consistently that we can kind of put out there for folks so maybe they come to you with a little bit different thought process?
Yeah, good question. So I think that they assume that we are either, as you mentioned, just a weight loss program, and it's like food in, food out, which is not what we do, or that we are about synthetic hormones and hormone replacement, all right? So not that. We are about really initiating your body's ability to make your hormones naturally and really supporting those glands, the adrenals, your thyroid, your hypothalamus, your pituitary that are creating a lot of those hormones. So we are not about we're not in favor of synthetic hormone replacement, and we are not just a weight loss center. If someone came in to me and said, well, I lost 20 pounds in the first month, which is what we would anticipate, and that's it, I would not have done my job well. My job is when a person comes in and says, I lost 20 pounds, okay, but that's not the exciting thing. The exciting thing is I'm sleeping through the night. I don't want to kill my husband. I feel like I have energy to get through my day, and I'm inspired to live my life with the purpose that I was created to live.
That is a great explanation. I asked that question of everybody, and it sounds like you've really pinpointed a couple of things, and, the way you explained it, it just makes so much sense. I want to touch on something that you said there that really just kind of resonated, not the want to kill my husband part, but the the part where you said, if it was just, hey, I lost 20 pounds, right, which in and of itself, if you do that can change your life, of course, but you're talking about the, sleeping through the night, feeling better about yourself and having, just a lower stress level. So that overall package sounds like it's just as important to you guys than the weight loss side of it. And I think that's huge right there because, you said a phrase there, I think it was either this one or the last question, food in, food out, right? That's most dietary type scenarios, right?
Yeah.
And that is really interesting, probably one of the most interesting answers I've heard for that question. Every franchise I talk with, there's always something that folks think when they come to the franchise that they know about the business. That was a very unique and different answer. Yeah.
And I think for us, though, education is core. Helping women understand their bodies differently, understand their gut health, understand that stress is, even though we have this saying that kind of says just because she carries it doesn't mean it's not heavy. And a lot of us as women are just expected to keep all the balls in the air, taking care of elderly parents, working full time, working out. We're supposed to still be fit. We're supposed to do all these things. And we do it, but it doesn't mean that our body's not taking a toll that we're not given permission to recognize. And so the first thing we want to do is give women permission to say that's a lot. And it's okay that you're not feeling like you're 100% at all of it. And so by reinforcing their adrenals and giving their adrenals the food and the nutrients to continue to work like they need to, because as we get older, our stress level will rise. We'll have more on our plate. But as we get older, our stress threshold of what our bodies can manage naturally will lower. So sometimes there's a huge disconnect as you're lowering what your body can manage and your stress level is going up. That disconnect is what's creating a lot of these problems, whether it's digestive issues, and people don't take into account leaky gut is something we work with as well. Leaky gut has so much to do with stress, and stress isn't just, again, husbands and traffic. It's also like preservatives, artificial flavorings, synthetic medications that your body is not quite knowing how to manage. So we work with liver support and understanding how those can create inflammation and toxins. So a lot of what we do is education. And if you think about our program, 14 weeks is a typical program that you're working with a health coach, only 20% of that is weight loss. The remaining of it is all about rebuilding your diet, about strategy, about understanding food sensitivities and looking at your body in a different way and educating yourself about nutrition and maybe how your body's changed as you're 50 and as opposed to when you were 30 and what does that look like? And the cool thing about BeBalanced is that we put this into a franchise that makes it accessible to everyone. You don't have to be a doctor. And actually, doctors aren't the best candidates, and so somebody who's willing to learn and come at this from a non-medical perspective that's very strategic, very fundamental, and very natural.
Let's shift gears a little bit here, Paget. I want to talk a bit about on the business side now, as far as like operations and things like that. What is some of the hot areas out there? Is there particular areas of the country that are more receptive to your type of business? Is this something that works in most markets? Tell us a little bit about the business side on maybe how you take a look at a market and what areas you're most interested in throughout the United States.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we do have centers, here in Pennsylvania, New York, and the whole way out to Arizona, a variety in Texas. So I think it can work in any market. It may, in certain markets, it may take a longer ramp-up period just because of the accessibility of marketing. If you are a single unit owner, if you're to an area that has a variety of centers already, it's great because we do a lot of cooperative marketing, amongst centers. So I would say that I feel like our best markets at this point in time are kind of, and this might not be the right terminology, it's kind of like a B-rate market. So, for example, Pittsburgh's been phenomenal, and Pittsburgh has just taken off beautifully. They have access to marketing. It's not too expensive. Our Philly market has done well, but we have about 5 centers in Philly. The Harrisburg, York, Pennsylvania, Lancaster, Pennsylvania market has done incredibly well. So, I think that those mid-level cities where marketing is still accessible is really our sweet spot. I don't think our sweet spot is in the highly expensive areas. We find that highly expensive areas means that people really aren't that interested in working hard enough to get what they want. They're just going to go get plastic surgery or go get something else. Rather, we need a client who, is really willing to dig in and make some significant life changes to take away, all of the success that we're expecting from them. So, some people think, I'm going to go into this, multi-million-dollar. I don't know that that's our right fit. This $5,000 to $125,000, market is where we're looking.
Yeah, and that makes sense. If you think about what you're actually doing with your clients and who your ideal client is, it makes so much sense. And I'm assuming that you guys are a full-service franchise. You're helping them with, location and doing the planning and the build-out, and you're helping them all along. This isn't the type of franchise where you're just saying, okay, pay us a franchise fee and let us know when you're open, right?
No, it's very, we'll be working with them on location and, on areas, on territories, on the build out is everything we do is high end, looking like a beautiful spa, so that when you walk in, you feel like you've just landed at this really safe and comfortable place. So that's all orchestrated for you.
How difficult is it out there in the marketplace to find good people, Paget? Every business needs good people to work with. Is the owner starting the business themselves and then hiring a few people? What does that look like for your centers?
Yeah, it's definitely different scenarios, but that is the typical case where an owner is starting it and hiring someone to be a client support coordinator, which means like managing the front desk and some marketing, things like that. I tell you what, sometimes people say, what kind of qualifications do you hire for? I hire for women who thrive and are passionate about making a difference in the lives of others. And oftentimes, if you think about my staff in particular, and many other centers have the same experience, it's actually clients who come to us and say, this has so significantly impacted my life, I want to be here. So, that's what we're hiring for. It's great if they've come with some nutrition background. It's great if they've come with some kind of health coaching background. That's all a plus. But if they've come from a weight loss background, we have to relearn it all anyways, because we're just not that way. We're not food out, eat this, don't eat that. It's a little different. So I'd rather someone just come with a passion to help others, and we can teach everything else.
When we look at the opening of a center, just take us through the timeline. How long does it take to get open? What kind of location are you guys looking for? Tell us about the locations and how long it takes to open.
Yeah, so, you can kind of open as quick as I can get it going really quickly. I've opened centers in, 6 weeks or from signing a lease. So, that can't always happen. COVID has slowed down some construction, and depending on the choice of the location and how much build out needs to be done, of course, that does dictate your time frame. But we're looking for a location about 800 to 1,000 square feet. A lot of people do go into kind of mid-range strip kinds of centers that are a little nicer, a little smaller, not necessarily one of the big chain ones isn't our best fit. I don't want to forget second generation buildings, previous doctor's offices, previous therapist offices are great fits for us as long as we have outside signage on the road. So I never want to be a little fish in a big pond. I would rather be the big fish, So my centers are standalone buildings on busy highways, busy, streets and locations with large signage outside that people have direct access to us.
Now, when you look at the overall business out there in franchising, there's all kinds of different investment levels. Walk us through, what somebody should expect to invest. And I know how franchise documents work, so we got to, refer everybody to the numbers that are published and all that type of stuff. Give us a range, and what the franchise cost is, just so our listeners have an idea of what they're looking at.
Absolutely. I think that our, getting into a BeBalanced is definitely much more reasonable than getting into several other franchises that I've seen. So, for one unit, if you're coming in, we'd like you to have about a $250,000 access, but that's not all paid to us. That's so that you have some, marketing, you have marketing dollars for the next year, that you have dollars to cover you as you're getting ramped up. So it's a $45,000 investment for the initial franchise fee. And then we like you to have about $25,000 available for renovations. Not necessarily that every location will require that, but it could be up to that as we get in all the furnishings and everything that we need. And then the remainder would be just available cash to, keep you going, and investment, initial marketing and grand opening, all of that.
Now, I think I know the answer to this question as well, because I picked up on how you're answering, and I love it. Who would you say is the competition in the industry? You guys, you can't be the only folks doing this out there, right? What's the competition like? Like, how competitive is the marketplace?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, like I said, in certain pockets, there are individual naturopaths or chiropractors who might have similar natural programs. There are potentially similar, I'm using that quote unquote, programs that are online only. Mm-hmm. So I don't find a national brand who is our competitor, but right. They're pockets, and that's a good thing to investigate when you're going into certain areas. I think what's interesting about our women is they do not want an online-only experience. Now, COVID has really been gracious to us as a company, had one of my best years in 2020 because women and men, I always say women, but we are primarily women, but work incredibly well for men as well. But they really have decided that they need to be more intentional about their immune system, about their health, about, a lot of parts of, living life to the fullest. So, I like that people are much more intentional about that, but they still want a connection with a local center. So we do offer virtual appointments for convenience or for people who are not near a local center. But I can tell you that our women are not women who would just want an online anonymous experience. They want that relationship with the coach. They build that connection and that lasts. And then our referrals are incredible because they're just telling everyone that they know what an amazing change this has made in their lives.
Let's talk about the industry here real quick. Why should somebody think about getting into this industry? I mean, there's a lot of opportunities out there today in franchising. Why should somebody take a look at BeBalanced and the industry that you guys are in?
Yes, the time is now. Our industry, I think, we were gifted with COVID in that, like I said, people are just much more intentional about their health. They really are thinking about what matters. This huge exodus from corporate America to I don't want to be living with that level of stress. And so we're really, kind of walking beside that whole journey and saying, we understand stress is a lot, and let's talk about strategies to support your body, understand supplementation differently, understand your hormones differently. Do you know how many women, because of stress, are dealing with thyroid issues? They're dealing with infertility, they're dealing with depression. And so this resonates so greatly with a lot of people saying, I'm tired of just being handed a pill. I want to feel in charge. I want to know, why are these things happening? I want to back it up, and I want to make changes that will result in long-term quality of life as I age. This is anti-aging. This is the Botox for your inner self. It's really about, helping you. I hope it's a little deeper than Botox, but this is adding quality life years to your life by changing some of these things, by coming off of blood pressure medications, by understanding how to impact your blood sugar naturally. Those are all things that will long-term impact people's quality of life. So now's the time. I think 2022 is going to be even greater because people are willing to invest in that, and they want to see those things changed in their lives.
Well, Paget, this has been great. I want to give you the last minute or two here to kind of just give us a, once through, all the way through, about BeBalanced and then, anything that I might have missed or you want to make sure folks are going to hear through this interview, because this has been great. And I'll tell you, folks, it's very rare that we get a chance to talk with a franchise owner that's so involved with headquarters. Usually we're hearing only from one side of the coin, and I can tell you from these answers that Paget's giving that they're so more insightful than what, not that the other folks I interview aren't insightful, but I'm just saying when you hear it from the franchise owner side as well, I could hear it in your voice, Paget. So give us a minute or two just to run through here as we finish up, and give our folks anything that I might have missed as well.
So thank you. So I think, and thank you for that, was very kind. I appreciate that, because we are incredibly passionate about what we do. And so I do feel like that is the difference. If I could say, I'm glad to have investors, but I really get excited about women who come and want to try the program first. Check out BeBalancedCenters.com. And my centers are Harrisburg, York, Harrisburg, York, Camp Hill, but we have centers all over the country. Have a virtual appointment. Listen to what we're talking about. And, if that's something that resonates with you, try it. As we go through our franchise process, we actually have you do a client experience appointment, because I want you to know what our support team is talking about, what our specialists are recommending, how we're communicating with clients. So that's important to us, that you know what that feels like. And then a lot of people do choose to do the program, because you should know if it works, if you're going to be, putting your reputation out there for something. What I love about BeBalanced is that I can always under-promise and over-deliver. And I know that this is a program that if women will allow us to guide them through it, they will have extraordinary change. And I love what I do every day. So if you're looking for a place that you get up and you would do it, whether you got paid or not, although you want to get paid, but you want to get up and you want to look forward to your day, that's where we are. And now I have a greater blessing, and you can have that too, is now I'm not working directly with clients as much. Now I have the opportunity to give women an opportunity to work in this and to affect their purpose by working with our clients. So my staff are the ones that I'm pouring into now and inspiring and encouraging. And so it's just so much fun to be part of. And I see us growing. I really do. Our trajectory is indefinite. I'm so excited about what the next years will hold. So if you want to be part of something that's ground floor, emerging brand, really coming out and people recognizing the need for us, that's who we are. Check out BeBalancedCenters.com. Love to talk to you. You can set up an intro call, so a 30-minute call just to find out if we could be a right fit to talk through this process together. Go to one of the centers, have an experience for yourself, and thank you so much for your time.
You are really welcome, Paget. I appreciate your time. Now, folks, make sure that you reach out to Paget and mention that you heard about her on the Franchise Radio Show. We'd appreciate that. And we're joined here today by Paget Rhee from BeBalanced. She is not only the Director of Operations with BeBalanced, but is also a multi-unit franchise owner. So thank you so much for your time, and you have a great day, Paget, okay?
All right, take care.